The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club is a worldwide one-percenter motorcycle club whose members typically ride Harley-Davidson motorcycles and is considered an organized crime syndicate by the U.S. Department of Justice. In the United States and Canada, the Hells Angels are incorporated as the Hells Angels Motorcycle Corporation. Common nicknames for the club are the HA, Red and White, and 81. History: the Hells Angels were originally started by American war immigrants, the Bishop family in Fontana, California, followed by an amalgamation of former members from different motorcycle clubs, such as the Pissed Off Bastards of Bloomington. The Hells Angels website denies the suggestion that any misfit or malcontent troops are connected with the motorcycle club. The website also notes that the name was suggested by Arvid Olsen, an associate of the founders, who had served in the Flying Tigers Hells Angels squadron in China during World War II. The name Hells Angels was inspired by the typical naming of American squadrons, or other fighting groups, with a fierce, death-defying title in both World War I and World War II. For example, the Flying Tigers in Burma and China fielded 3 squadrons of P-40s and a 3rd squadron was called Hells Angels. In 1930, the Howard Hughes film Hells Angels displayed extraordinary and dangerous feats of aviation, and it is believed that the World War II groups who used that name based it on the film. Some of the early history of the HAMC is not clear, and accounts differ. According to Ralph "Sonny" Barger, founder of the Oakland chapter, early chapters of the club were founded in San Francisco, Gardena, Fontana, as well as his chapter in Oakland, and other places independently of one another, with the members usually being unaware that there were other Hells Angels clubs. One of lesser-known clubs existed in North Chino, South Pomona, California, in the late 1960s to as late as 1970. Other sources claim that the Hells Angels in San Francisco were originally organized in 1953 by Rocky Graves, a Hells Angel member from San Bernardino, implying that the Frisco Hells Angels were very much aware of their forebears. The Frisco Hells Angels were reorganized in 1955 with 13 charter members, Frank Sedilek serving as president, and using the smaller, original logo. The Oakland chapter, at the time headed by Barger, used a larger version of the Death's Head patch nicknamed the Barger Larger, which was first used in 1959. It later became the club standard. The Hells Angels are often depicted in a similarly mythical fashion as other modern-day legends like the James Younger Gang. Free-spirited, iconic, bound by brotherhood and loyalty. At other times, such as in the 1966 Roger Corman film The Wild Angels, where they are depicted as violent and nihilistic, they are portrayed as a violent criminal gang and a scourge on society. The club became prominent within, and established its initial notoriety as part of, the 1960s counterculture movement in San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury scene, London, in England, and elsewhere where it played a part at many of the movement's seminal events. Original members were directly connected to many of the counterculture's primary leaders, such as Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters, Allen Ginsberg, Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead, Timothy Leary, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Mick Farren and Tom Wolfe. The club launched the career of gonzo journalist Hunter S. Thompson. Criminologist Karen Katz said in 2011 that the Hells Angels were the center of a moral panic in Canada involving the media, politicians, law enforcement and the public that sensationalized the importance of isolated criminal acts, criminal activities and incidents. Numerous police and intelligence agencies internationally classify the Hells Angels as one of the Big Four motorcycle gangs, along with the Pagans, Outlaws, and Bandidos, and contend that members carry out widespread violent crimes, drug dealing, trafficking in stolen goods and extortion, and are involved in the prostitution industry. Members of the organization have continuously asserted that they are only a group of motorcycle enthusiasts who have joined to ride motorcycles together, to organize social events such as group road trips, fundraisers, parties, and motorcycle rallies, and that those crimes are the responsibility of the individuals who carried them out and not the club as a whole. Members of the club have been accused of crimes and convicted in many host nations. Insignia. The Hells Angels official website attributes the official Death's Head insignia design to Frank Sedilek, past president of the San Francisco chapter. The colors and shape of the early-style jacket emblem were copied from the insignias of the 85th Fighter Squadron and the 552nd Medium Bomber Squadron. The Hells Angels utilize a system of patches, similar to military medals. Although the specific meaning of each patch is not publicly known, the patches identify specific or significant actions or beliefs of each biker. The official colors of the Hells Angels are red lettering displayed on a white background, hence the club's nickname the Red and White. These patches are worn on leather or denim jackets and vests. Red and white are also used to display the number 81 on many patches, as in Support 81, Route 81. The 8 and 1 stand for the respective positions in the alphabet of H and A. These are used by friends and supporters of the club, in deference to club rules which purport to restrict the wearing of Hells Angels imagery to club members. The diamond-shaped 1% hurt patch is also used, displaying 1%, in red on a white background with a red mirrored border. The term 1% hurt is said to be a response to the American Motorcyclist Association comment on the Hollister incident, to the effect that 99% of motorcyclists were law-abiding citizens and the last 1% were outlaws. The AMA has no record of such a statement to the press, and calls this story apocryphal. Most members wear a rectangular patch identifying their respective chapter locations. Another similarly designed patch reads Hells Angels. When applicable, members of the club wear a patch denoting their position or rank within the organization. The patch is rectangular, and, similarly to the patches described above, displays a white background with red letters and a red mirrored border. Some examples of the titles used are President, Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, and Sergeant at Arms. This patch is usually worn above the club location patch. Some members also wear a patch with the initials AFFA, which stands for Angels Forever. Forever Angels, referring to their lifelong membership in the biker club. The book Gangs, written by Tony Thompson, states that Stephen Cunningham, a member of the Angels, sported a new patch after he recovered from attempting to set a bomb, 2 Nazi-style SS lightning bolts below the words "filthy few." Some law enforcement officials claim that the patch is only awarded to those who have committed, or are prepared to commit, murder on behalf of the club. According to a report from the R.V. Bonner and Lindsay case in 2005, another patch, similar to the Filthy Few patch, is the Dequialo patch. This patch signifies that the wearer has fought law enforcement on arrest. There is no common convention as to where the patches are located on the member's jacket vest. Intellectual property rights. In March 2007, the Hells Angels filed suit against the Walt Disney Motion Pictures Group alleging that the film entitled Wild Hogs used both the name and distinctive logo of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Corporation without permission. The suit was eventually voluntarily dismissed, after it received assurances from Disney that its references would not appear in the film. In October 2010, the Hells Angels filed a lawsuit against Alexander McQueen for misusing its trademark winged death head symbol in several items from its Autumn-Winter 2010 collection. The lawsuit is also aimed at Saks Fifth Avenue and Zappos.com, which stock the Jacquard box dress and knuckle duster ring which bear the symbol, which has been used since at least 1948 and is protected by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. A handbag and scarf was also named in lawsuit. The lawyer representing Hells Angels claimed this isn't just about money, it's about membership. If you've got one of these rings on, a member might get really upset that you're an imposter. Saks refused to comment. Zappos had no immediate comment and the company's parent company, PPR, could not be reached for comment. The company settled the case with the Hells Angels after agreeing to remove all of the merchandise featuring the logo from sale on their website, stores and concessions, and recalling any of the goods which have already been sold and destroying them. In fall 2012, in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of California, Hells Angels sued Toys R Us for trademark infringement, unfair competition, and dilution in relation to the sale of yo-yos manufactured by Omega Corporation, a co-defendant, which allegedly bear the A-OE Death Eater Euro logo. In its complaint, Hells Angels asserted that the mark used on the yo-yos is likely to confuse the public into mistakenly believing that the toys originate with Hells Angels, and Omega filed counterclaims against Hells Angels for cancellation of the A-OE Death Euro registrations on grounds of alleged fraud in the procurement of the registrations. The case settled and the lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice. As of December 2013, the Hells Angels sells its branded merchandise at a retail store in Toronto, Canada. Over 7 years, it has defended its brand and label against use in clothes, jewelry, posters, and yo-yos. Membership. In order to become a Hells Angels prospect, candidates must have a valid driver's license, a motorcycle over 750 cc's, and have the right combination of personal qualities. It is said the club excludes child molesters and individuals who have applied to become police or prison officers. After a lengthy, phased process, a prospective member is first deemed to be a hang-around, indicating that the individual is invited to some club events or to meet club members at known gathering places. If the hang-around is interested, he may be asked to become an associate, a status that usually lasts a year or two. At the end of that stage, he is reclassified as prospect, participating in some club activities, but not having voting privileges while he is evaluated for suitability as a full member. The last phase, and highest membership status, is full membership, or full patch. The term full patch refers to the complete four-piece crest, including the Death Head logo, 2 rockers and the rectangular MC patch below the wing of the Death's Head. Prospects are allowed to wear only a bottom rocker with the state or territory name along with the rectangular MC patch. To become a full member, the prospect must be voted on unanimously by the rest of the full club members. Prior to votes being cast, a prospect usually travels to every chapter in the sponsoring chapter's geographic jurisdiction and introduces himself to every full patch member. This process allows each voting member to become familiar with the subject and to ask any questions of concern prior to the vote. Some form of formal induction follows, wherein the prospect affirms his loyalty to the club and its members. The final logo patch is then awarded at this initiation ceremony. The step of attaining full membership can be referred to as being patched. Even after a member is patched in, the patches themselves remain the property of HAMC rather than the member. On leaving the Hells Angels, or being ejected, they must be returned to the club. Worldwide chapters. The HAMC acknowledges more than 100 chapters spread over 29 countries. Europe did not become widely home to the Hells Angels until 1969 when 2 London chapters were formed. The Beatles' George Harrison invited some members of the HAMC San Francisco to stay at Apple Records in London in 1968. According to Chris O'Dell, only 2 members showed up at Apple Records, Frisco Pete and Bill Sweet William Fritsch. 2 people from London visited California, prospected, and ultimately joined. 2 charters were issued on July 30, 1969. One for South London, the Reimagine chapter renewing the already existing 1950 South London chapter, and the other for East London, but by 1973 the 2 charters came together as one, simply called London. The London Angels provided security at a number of UK underground festivals including Fun City in 1970 organised by anarchist, International Times writer and lead singer with the Deviants, Mick Farron. They even awarded Farron an approval patch in 1970 for use on his first solo album Mona, which also featured Steve Peregrine Took. The 1980s and 1990s saw a major expansion of the club into Canada. A list of acknowledged chapters can be found on the HAMC's official website. Racial policies. The club claims not to be a racially segregated organization, although at least one chapter allegedly requires that a candidate be a white male, and Sonny Barger stated in a BBC interview in 2000 that the club, as a whole, is not racist, but we probably have enough racist members that no black guy's going to get in it. At that time the club had no black members. However, there have been black members of puppet clubs, notably Gregory Woolley, a high-ranking member of the Rockers MC in Montreal who was the proto-copyright and bodyguard of Hell's Angel boss Maurice Boucher. Woolley became an associate of the Hells Angels Montreal chapter in the 1990s and later tried uniting street gangs in Quebec after Boucher was imprisoned. In another interview with leader Sonny Barger in 2000 he remarked, "If you're a motorcycle rider and you're white, you want to join the Hells Angels. If you, Sig Black, you want to join the Dragons. That's how it is whether anyone likes it or not. We don't have no blacks and they don't have no whites." When asked if that could change, Sonny replied, "Anything can change, I can't predict the future." Toby Livingston, who formed the black motorcycle club East Bay Dragons MC, wrote in his book that he and Sonny Barger have a long-lasting friendship and that the Hells Angels and Dragons have a mutual friendship and hang out and ride together. In a 1966 article about motorcycle rebels in the African American community magazine Ebony, the Chosen Few MC stated that they see no racial animosity in the Hells Angels and that when they come into Chosen Few territory they all get together and just party. A Hells Angel member interviewed for the magazine insisted there was no racial prejudice in any of their clubs and stated, "We don't have any Negro members," but maintained there have not been any blacks who have sought membership. At one point in the 1970s the Hells Angels were looking to consolidate the different motorcycle clubs and offered every member of the Chosen Few MC a Hells Angel badge, but the Chosen Few turned down the offer. See also: Motorcycling, Quebec Biker War, River Run Riot, references. Further reading: Sonny Barger. Hells Angel, The Autobiography of Sonny Barger. HarperCollins. ISBN A978-0-06-184736-3. Paul Cherry. The Biker Trials, Bringing Down the Hells Angels. ECW Press. ISBN A978-1-55490-250-7. Jerry Langton. Fallen Angel, The Unlikely Rise of Walter Stadnick and the Canadian Hells Angels. John Wiley & Sons. ISBN A978-0-470-73994-5. Yves Laven. Hells Angels, Taking Care of Business. Random House of Canada, Limited. ISBN A978-0-7704-2858-7. Yves Laven. Hells Angels, Into the Abyss. HarperCollins Publishers Limited. ISBN A978-1-4434-0411-2. Yves Laven. Hells Angels at War. HarperCollins Publishers Limited. ISBN A978-1-4434-0410-5. William Marston. Julian Shah. Angels of Death, Inside the Bikers' Empire of Crime. Not Canada. ISBN A978-0-307-37032-7. Valerie Smart. The Original Hells Angels, 303rd Bombardment Group of World War II. Arcadia Publishing. ISBN A978-0-7385-0910-5. Julian Shah. William Marston. The Road to Hell, How the Biker Gangs Are Conquering Canada. Not Canada. ISBN A978-0-307-36586-6. Hunter S. Thompson. Hells Angels, A Strange and Terrible Saga. Modern Library. ISBN A978-0-679-60331-3. Edward Winter Halder. Bull de Klerk. The Assimilation, Rock Machine Become Bandidos, Bikers United Against the Hells Angels. ECW Press. ISBN A978-1-55490-321-4. External links. Official website listing many chartered local chapters, with links. Hells Angels at DMOZ, FBI file on Hells Angels, Never Seen, Hells Angels, 1965. A slideshow by Life magazine.